Ah, there it is, the last Geometry Wars game. It's kind of sad, honestly. Alright, to start off with, this is the first and only game of the series not to be made by Bizarre Creations, since unfortunately the company shut down before this game was created, and the reins were put on 3 new companies, Activision, Lucid, and Sierra. So then I guess the question has to be asked, does this live up to Bizarre Creations, creation of one of the best modern-day retro 2D shoot 'em up games ever created? Well, let's find out. Oh, and I should probably just quickly note that this game came out on both the 360 and the One, and despite me playing only the One version, it's basically the same game for both versions. So this counts as a review for that version as well. And apparently I also have to note that some of this footage was recorded when I had the Xbox Party overlay on, so that's great. But other than that, on with the review. And well, to be perfectly honest, to start off here, I feel as though the people who made this game probably knew or realized that this was probably going to be the last release for this series. So they decided to end it off with a bang. And, well, why is that? Well, to start off with, there is the obvious, classic modes, which are the 5 returning game modes from the last game, the second game, as well as the original mode itself. And just like in the other games, you'll be trying to fly around a board, trying to survive as long as you can, defeating enemies, picking up small little green geomes to boost up your multiplier. And then the other game modes are variations of this with waves, which is non-stop of the rocket enemies, or the king mode, where you have to only be able to fight while in one of the randomly appearing king modes. Fairly standard stuff here, except the one that was added in eventually. This wasn't in the original game when it first came out, which is retro mode, which is actually the way the game, it's the third game iteration of the regular mode, but it's like the first game, where it's only enemies that appeared in the first game, and the multiplayer works by defeating enemies instead of picking up geomes, which also leads to the scores being semi-lower than, or very lower than the regular game, but it's still a really cool addition. But for all this is worth, this is all the standard stuff that you would expect for a Geometry Wars game to have. Now, where this game decides to put all of its effort into is the adventure mode. Now, essentially what this adventure mode is a combination of what Galaxies tried to do as well as the sequence mode from the second game. You have a set of levels in which you must go into them and then get a certain amount of score to get 3 stars in them, or try your best at least. And every level has a sort of different playstyle to it. You're either going to be on a timer, or one of the returning ones from Galaxy where there's big types of enemies that you have to break down to reveal smaller enemies. Or one of the newer modes where you have a limited amount of ammo, or you have to prevent the level from being painted on completely for as long as you can. And every level is this really cool designed 3D model that you fly your entire ship around, and it moves with you. A bit off topic, but yeah, this definitely has the best graphics for the whole series, hands down. I should also knock out the music, which every single game mode has its very own music track. So all of them have their very own perfectly fitting electronic track that plays throughout. And I really love on the timer ones how the music becomes much more tense as the timer runs down. Alright, back to adventure mode, and I gotta say the biggest addition that this game mode has is the boss fights, in which you are going up against one gigantic enemy that has to basically be knocked down its health bar multiple times in order for it to be destroyed. All in one life, I believe. Yeah, these things are great additions. But of course, just like in Galaxies, you are not going into these battles alone, or really any levels alone, as you have the return of the satellites from Galaxies in the form of drones. And these help you out as being a secondary turret, or collecting the geomes, or like sweeping around you constantly to prevent enemies from getting close to you. But what is new for this game is the addition of supers, which, although not acting completely like the bomb that wipes the screen, it's kind of an addition to that, where your drone will start either laying mines or turn into a black hole that'll suck in all the enemies, or the one that I always use, which is the turret, which literally just spams the entire screen with bullets. And just like in Galaxies, both of these can be upgraded with the Geomes. But unlike in Galaxies, you can actually choose what you want to upgrade by buying it with the Geomes, as opposed to in that game where you actually had to use the drone to get it to gain experience. And of course, this is obviously so much better because then you're not forcing yourself to use something that you don't want to use. You could just use what you like and still get upgrade points. Now, the other thing that they added in to help you out while playing is the super states, which will give you like different types of fire, whether it be more bullets or wide fire or a shield. But unlike the drones or the supers, these randomly appear within the levels, and if you don't destroy all of the pieces to them, you don't get the bonus. And yeah, that kind of concludes the whole mode. And I would say that it is a very well thought out and executed game mode. It took what came before it and built off of it, like made it better, evolutionized, if you will, and it is very much worthy of the Geometry Wars series. And while that is the main focus of this game, there is some other bonus content, like the bonus levels or the multiplayer where you could play with friends and try and beat each other's scores, or I think even try and fight it out. But then there are the other two types of adventure modes, like Ultimate, which is, I believe, just more levels. But then you also have Hardcore mode, which is more levels, but you're not able to use supers or satellites. And these are really cool additions, more for your bang for your buck, more the merrier, especially since one of the bonus levels is literally the credits, so you can destroy the names as they come up. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say about this game. And I guess my conclusion is that the higher production value from these bigger name companies has really shined on through. And although I know it's kind of blasphemous to say that the series' best game is from the people who didn't even originally make it, but that's kind of where I am with this game. This is the best Geometry Wars, as well as I can also understand why this is the last Geometry Wars, simply because there is nothing more you could really do with this series. The addition of boss fights feels like the culmination, the last thing that you could really do with it. And just like I said at the beginning, they knew this was the end, so they decided to send the series off with a bang. And I would easily say they succeeded in that mission. So yeah, great game to go out on, but it just makes me miss this series even more replaying it. I love the robot voice in this game, the one that always plays at the beginning or whenever you get a power-up. I don't know, there's just something about him, especially when I can't understand him, what he's saying.